T24 Haber Merkezi'nden iyi günler. Avrupa Birliği Türkiye hattında ana gündemin Doğu Akdeniz olduğu bir 2020'yi geride bıraktık. Geçen yılın son ayında yaptırımlar tekrar gündeme geldi. Daha ağır yaptırımların Mart ayına bırakıldığı belirtildi. Aynı açıklamada aynı zamanda 2021 yılında Avrupa Birliği'nin Türkiye ve Doğu Akdeniz konusunda ABD ile koordineli hareket edeceği belirtildi. Bugün 2021 yılında Türkiye-AB ilişkilerinin ne beklediğini konuşmak için Avrupa Parlamentosu Türkiye Raportörü Nacho Sánchez Amor'la birlikteyiz. So I would like to start with a little comprehensive question going, we just started a new year and we just left behind a really busy year in terms of Eastern Mediterranean, in terms of relationships between Brussels and Ankara. So I would like to ask, what is your expectations of 2021 in terms of Turkish-EU relations?
Well, what we all expect in Brussels is a change of attitude from the south of Turkey. We all are aware what difficult has been the year that we have recently passed, and we do really hope to encounter that the latest statement from higher officials, from the President Erdogan and members of the government, apparently with a new commitments with the EU path from the Turkish side, could be real and could be accompanied by facts. This is the key question we are really expecting for this coming statement. Recommitment of the Turkish path to European Union has to be translated in facts. This is the question.
And you have mentioned the statements recently. Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, the foreign minister of Turkey, has echoed President Erdogan's statement from last year, saying that they believe Turkey belongs in the European Union, that that's the path they want to follow. As the European Union reporter for Turkey, do you find that statement sincere?
Well, this is the question we are asking for. If we have to only a statement, we have a lot of statement in a complete different direction in the last month and years coming from higher officials in your country. What we do really want is to support these new statements if they really reflect a change of attitude at the ending of this anti-EU rhetoric that we have been hearing in the last period, to change into facts. For that reason, we welcome this new attitude, this new approach, but what do really want is to be this new rhetoric be supported by facts.
And at the last European Council summit, it ended with a statement saying that the EU will seek to coordinate on matters relating to Turkey and the situation in the Eastern Mediterranean with the United States. So this is kind of a unique statement coming from the European Union and a little different from what we've seen in the past years. So can you please expand what this coordination between United States and the European Union is going to consist on?
Well, you know that lately we had some difficulties with United States because the president of President Trump, and we are really hoping what come from the new administration in the United States, and we do really want to collaborate with the United States in the most part of the international stances that the United States abandoned in the last period. And for that reason, Turkey, as probably China, could be other folder in which we have to collaborate. We don't know, maybe even Russia. But this is a kind of general spirit which we receive the new administration. And Turkey is one of the issues, one of the main issues in our foreign policy is one issue. In the United States foreign policy, we are lucky if we are encountering some common grounds to deliver with an enormous amount of things that happen in the world. But the question is, I can put you the question on the other side. Is Turkey trying to act the same way trying to address our concerns, the European concerns and the Americans' concerns. This is a question you have to redress, because we have some issues related to the accession process, related to the customs union, visa liberalization, the drillings, and so on. But you have also things to solve with the United States, 400 and this difficult position in NATO, and we are completely open to discuss that kind of issues with Turkey and with the United States. This is a kind of general spirit, and is also affecting Turkey. It's not just about Turkey. It's about Turkey. It's about China. It's about Iran deal. It's about a lot of things that we have to discuss with the new administration.
Okay, and at the same statement, there is mentioning that there's going to be reports that's going to be set on the period between end of past year and the March. And in the March, European Council is going to sit down and talk about heavier sanctions towards Turkey. Is the United States going to be a part of this decision?
No, of course not. Formally not, of course. This is a completely different legal path. We have our own policies on that, and mainly related to what happened in the Mediterranean with some members of the European Union, Cyprus and Greece. And this is not had to be in some way consulted with the European Union. With the United States. This is a European policy. This is an European problem. This is a problem in our neighborhood. This is a problem with two state members, and it's just about that. It's not a question to consult or to agree with the Americans.
Okay, and now I want to talk about a little bit about the progress report. So one of the main topics here after the report was that the EP report mentioned possibility of an alternate relationship model. So I'd like to ask you, does this mean EU is losing its faith on Turkey gaining full membership?
No, the question is the reverse one. Is Turkey committed to become a member of the European Union? This is the real question we are asking ourselves, because the problem with the accession process is that we opened the accession process with a clear timeline to reforms, but the reform has not been delivered. And the question is, we're asking Turkey, is your European bet sincere? And are you ready to revamp the reforms you started long time ago and you abandoned it later? This is the question is on Turkey. We have maintained formally the accession process open, despite there are no results in the accession process. But my idea is not just to state that the accession process is not delivering results. The question is why the accession process is not delivering results. It's clear, because Turkey didn't comply with the commitments on the reforms linked to the accession process. We have to be clear on that. Even in the visa liberalization, I usually heard from Turkey saying, the European Union finally he didn't abide what we agreed in the migration deal in the year 16. It's not true. We said, Turkey, if you comply with the 6 or 7 benchmark linked to the visa liberalization, you are going the visa liberalization, but you didn't do. Simply, you didn't do. You didn't change your anti-terror law, you didn't change your data protection law, you didn't change the main 6 or 7 issues we put on the table to open the visa liberalization, and you didn't do. And there is a lot of reasoning on why Turkey didn't do that. Reason related to the situation in the country, related to the security, related to the coup, related to the state of emergency. There is a lot of explanation. But the real fact is we abide our commitments in the accession process and in the migration deal. But Turkey didn't do. And for that reason, we are just waiting from Turkey to decide if this European lately has been very vocally stated is real and is endorsed by the facts.
Okay, and so it's clear that from what you said and from what we have seen from European Union, from Ankara, that the EU-Turkey relationships has hit the point of standstill, and it has been pretty clear in the reports of the past reporter, Katy Perry's reports too. And it seems like there's not a lot of progress going on. So is it possible that European Commission can move on the road to suspend the relationship this year, the formal process of membership?
We asked for the suspension of the accession process in the latest report from my colleague Katy Perry. I am doing the same. In my draft report, we asked for the formal suspension of the accession process, not to retaliate some kind of bad behavior. It's not about that. This is the thing. Is to reassess if the accession process is conducive to the both parts' interests. And for that reason, when I say we have to suspend formally the accession process to reassess if the accession process is conducive to our ideas, is always accompanied saying you have to revise the sincerity of your European bet. Because what I'm not able to do is just to state we have, in this moment, we are in a very, very bad position. There is a lot of lack of trust and that kind of things. No, we have to step ahead and say why we are in this position. In my way, in the way of the majority of my colleagues, is simply because Turkey didn't abide the commitment of reforms they did in the past linked to accession process. We have to be clear on that. If Turkey's authorities, they endorse the latest statements on the European bet by facts, by reforms, by changing the attitudes, by changing some late attitude towards the core of the accession process, that is a human right situation and the rule of law, we could examine the things in another way. But if we are just jumping the ball to the future without a real commitment to regain these reforms that you suspended after the coup, we are just playing the full game, and this is very tiring. When you talk about the European fatigue in Turkey, and I could perfectly understand with this European fatigue, there is a Turkish fatigue in Europe. There is an amount, a number of political stakeholders asking to finish the accession process. Lately, the PPE, the European People's Party, the right of the main political parties in Europe, they are asking simply, we are done with Turkey. It's nothing to do. In any way, Turkey in that situation can be member of the European Union. Then you have to terminate the accession process. This is not my position. It's of the Liberal, of the Greens, that we are trying to offer Turkey kind of last attempt to abide to these commitments that they do in the accession process. And for that reason, when we call for the suspension of the accession process, it's not just to frozen the issue. No, it's to start talking about if the accession process is the frame we both parts want for the future.
Okay, so I imagine that would mean basically the European Union asking Turkey to return on the path to be fit the Copenhagen criteria, right?
Yes, but listen, this is a thing that we have to be very clear. Any European incentive could substitute the political will to be a democracy. This is on you. We are not entitled to grab you forcibly and bring you and drag you to the democracy. To be a real and mature democracy, internationally recognized, is on you. It's your decision. You can expect that some incentive from the European Union is the key to become a democracy. To be or not to be a democracy is on you. I'm coming from Spain. I remember what was the process in my country before entering the European Union. We really wanted to be a mature democracy and then to be a member of the European Union. But we didn't expect to have some incentives to become a democracy. We wanted to be a democracy and we acted accordingly and we acted rapidly. In some years, we were ready to become a member of the European Union, but we never expected that the Union dragged us to the interior of the European Union, because any European incentive can substitute the political will of Turkey to become a mature democracy.
So in that sense, in March, if European Union decides to go ahead with the sanctions, is it possible that these will be directed sanctions towards the government?
Listen, the stance of the Council of the European Union, I understand it's not easy for the Turkish public opinion to understand that nuance, but it's important to say that the way in which the Council of the European Union, that means the reunion of the member states, are dealing with Turkey is more related to a kind of transactional approach. They say we have to examine gains and benefit and cost of the relation. For the European Parliament, the question is the accession process and your commitments as a country. It's a difference. When the Council, the member state of the European Union, evoked the possibility of sanctions, is related to the drillings and the conflict on the Eastern Mediterranean. But the main problem for the European Parliament is the accession process and the lack of reforms into Turkey. There are different issues, because the sanction has been evoked as part of the Eastern Mediterranean problem and the aggressive stance of Turkey in defending the rights, and the way in which Turkey is defending the right, very, very vocal, accusing the European powers to be a colonial power, that kind of things that nobody understands in that part of the continent, but is related to that. In the European Parliament, the question is the accession process, and the core of the accession process is the situation of the human rights and rule of law. And is Turkey improving in this folder? This is a question I address to the Turkish public opinion. Is Turkey improving in rule of law and human rights in a way that we could express our hopes on regaining some speed in the accession process or not? After the coup, we only heard about a step backwards. From the coup until the last 15 days, with this new reform of the law on the associations, what happened with the university and the appointment and the rector and the detention of the students. The only news we receive from Turkey are bad news concerning the rule of law and human rights. And in this situation, I think you have to change a lot of things in Turkey to try to gain some trust from the European Union in this folder of the human rights. And the other one is related to what happened in the Eastern Mediterranean, is a situation in which, in our analysis, Turkey is violating the international laws, and especially because the way in which Turkey is defending its theoretical rights is not the best way to do, accompanying the drilling with military, risking to create a military problem and that kind of things. And for that reason, the Council threatens with more direct sanctions. But in the process, what we expect in the European Parliament is a change in the matter of the rule of law and human rights.
So I know you've been really vocal about the cases on European Court of Human Rights, and you have been very vocal about it. You've been following them really closely. So I would like to ask you, what does this tell about the rule of law in Turkey to European Union?
The first question we have to underline is Turkey is part of the Council of Europe. Turkey is not a member of the European Union. In the European Union, Turkey is a candidate, but Turkey is a member of the Council of Europe. And to be member of the Council of Europe means you have to abide the decision, the court rulings of the Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. That means we can understand how it's possible that trying Turkey to pass the message that is again on the European path, their decisions linked to the European Court of Human Rights is not really to abide on the decisions. That means release Kavala, release the Mirtas, to abide any of the decision of the European Court of Human Rights, and not to try to create some technicalities, not to abide to the decision and fulfill, comply of these decisions. Even because from the political point of view, not only from the legal point of view, from the political point of view, if there is any cost in some way for the government in releasing the Mirtas or Kavalas, you have the perfect alibi. You have been ordered for an European Court of Human Rights, part of the Council of Europe system in which you are a member, you have been ordered to release the guys. Do it. If you want to pass the message of your sincerity on the reforms, just do it. Just release Kavala, release the Mirtas, go backwards in some reforms. Don't attack the student protesting for the appointment of a rector. This is not the way. If you want really pass the message to Europe that you are in some way coming back to the European path, you have to act that way. And you can not only to make very love letters to Europe. Don't send us love letters. Send us news saying that you are abiding the European Court of Human Rights, that you are reversing the law that you recently changed on the law on association, that you are not asking for the social media platforms to have an appointed in Turkey. You have to reappoint the mayor of the HDP has been removed and replaced by undemocratic elected trustees. We want really to be to appreciate that kind of things. For that reason, I say to my Turkish colleagues and friends, don't send love letters to the European Union. Just send decisions, facts, in which we can assess the sincerity of your latest stance.
So following up from your answer to the other question, Eastern Mediterranean has been, if there was a book on EU-Turkish relationships for 2020, the main topic would be Eastern Mediterranean, sorry. So there has been a lot of back and forth about this, and eventually at the European Council, it went all the way to sanctioning the candidate country. But I would like to ask, do you think European Union, Brussels, all the institutions have been fair towards Turkey on topic of Eastern Mediterranean?
Well, we try to be fair, and we try to come back and to bring Turkey to the table of negotiation. I heard the Turkish foreign minister, Mr. Çavuşoğlu, saying we are always ready to talk, and that technical talks in the NATO umbrella, and these other talks waiting under the patronage of Germany. We are always ready to hear the reason from each part. But the question is, what had we received from Turkey? Accusations to be a colonial power, to talk about Greece, about a colony. It's really necessary to talk that way. It's really necessary to use that rhetoric to defend your rights, because if it is the case, you are not having a lot of people trying to listen to your reasons. If you want your reason to be watched and to be heard in Brussels, you have to use the excellent diplomatic skill you have as a country, and you have to explain your right, and you have to explain what do you expect. But sending drillings or exploration vessels with military vessels, risking a military situation, is not the best way to say. And using anti-European rhetoric just for domestic purposes, just to feed this nationalist rhetoric that are very common in Turkey, this is not helping your position. For that reason, first, you have to change the way you defend your rights. You can defend your rights in a diplomatic way, talking and trying to convince the people that you have rights, but not sending in fact, vessels, drilling vessels, exploratory vessels, military vessels, and using insulting rhetoric to the European Union. This is not very welcome here. I don't know. I understand that could be a kind of gain in a public opinion in Turkey, but from that side of the AGM, it's completely ununderstandable that you are trying to convince your partners or your neighbors that you have some rights using that kind of rhetoric. Then first you have to change the way you defend your right, and then to defend your rights. But when we asked about a big conference on the issue, this is a way. This is a way. Let's talk about the format of the conference. Let's talk about how to reconduct the situation to the diplomatic table. But in any way, you could expect to be heard properly if you act, in our view, out of the international law with military means and with an insulting rhetoric.
Okay, the last question I want to ask is, it will be a general one. Just in the interview, you and before that, European Union many times has mentioned the road back to European Union, back to the criteria or values that Europeans hold dear, has been really prominent on topics of Turkish-European Union relationships. So in 2021, it's a new year. What would make you believe that what would make you believe that Turkey is back on the path to European Union, to full membership?
I repeat, facts. What we do really need are facts, decisions, reforms, not only legal reforms. A change of mind in the way you address your political life. You can use the anti-terror law to jump into any kind of minor criticism. You can use the terror label to signal in the same way the real terrorists than the people criticizing things. Because democracy is to receive criticism with a fair, in a system in which you are not considering in any way that the criticism, the political criticism, is some kind of threat to the state. On the contrary, in a democracy, the political criticism is part of the oxygen of the system. You can, in any way, change things in a way that pure criticism from the government, from the president, from the foreign policy, from any public decision could be considered part of a terrorist helping or terrorist help to anyone. And for that reason, what we are asking from Ankara is facts, decisions, not love letters. I repeat, we don't want love letters. We are a political body. We are not trying to marry Turkey. We are trying to maintain Turkey in our sphere of values. This is very important. This is not just about drillings. This is not about pipeline. This is not about oil. This is about values, because the core of the accession process are values, and what we do really want are decisions on Turkey on the human rights and rule of law issues. And for that reason, what could be a good message? Abide the European Court of Human Rights, release Kavala, release the militant, reappointed the HDP majors, permit the NGOs to act properly without any kind of unusual control of the state, try to not interfere in the decision of the judges, try to use the prosecutors to defend the law, not to defend a political agenda. And this is the kind of thing we are waiting for in Brussels.
Okay, Mr. Amor, thank you very much for answering our questions.
My pleasure, and have a happy new year, all of you, and Turkey, all the best for your country.